Hi everybody, Patrick here from EngineeringShock.com, ElectronicLessons.com, and PaintballProps.com. This is the video manual for the version 1 and version 2 fingerprint scanner set. This is the version 1 board. We're going to go over that first. First of all, let's talk about some of the components. This is the servo motor and the accessories that come with it. 3 2-pin headers, fingerprint scanner, and fingerprint scanner connector. So before we power it up for the first time, let's go through each of these components. What you're going to want to do is first of all take your 2-pin headers and place them. First of all, we're going to take a 2-pin header or jumper and we're going to jump the LED N pins, LED_EN for LED enable, and that will enable these LEDs. Secondly, we're going to want to take another jumper, place it on there's 3 3-pin headers right here. On the rightmost, jump the middle and top pin from this perspective, and take your last 2-pin header and short the middle 3-pin header, middle and bottom pins. So again, just from this perspective, we've got this jumper on the right, this jumper on the left, and our LED enable jumper shorted. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our fingerprint scanner. This is the connector on the fingerprint scanner, and this is the ribbon cable. Now on one side of the ribbon cable you'll see little metal leads. On the other you'll see just plastic. You want to make sure that the metal leads are facing down, and you want to connect it gently. It only really goes in one way, but you want to make sure it's firmly in there. And now we're ready to connect this to our board. This is where we want to connect it. You can use these pads if you'd like, if you want to cut off the female ends of the ribbon and solder directly here, but I suggest using the 4-pin headers here. Now you'll notice the lettering: W, G, B, and R. White, green, black, red. So you just literally want to take those connections and make them. So your white cable goes to the W pin, your green cable goes to the G pin, your black cable goes to the B pin, and your red cable goes to the R pin. Make that connection, and again, it's very important that you get this right. You don't want to burn out your sensor, because these fingerprint scanners are very expensive, and your device won't power up properly unless it is connected. So make those connections, and next we'll talk about the servo motor. On the left side of the board you'll see a little 3-pin header labeled G and D for ground, 5 volts, and SIG. And your servo motor has 3 wires: brown, red, and orange. Brown is ground, red is 5 volts, and orange is signal. So you want to make sure that your brown wire is facing up and your orange wire is facing down. So again, orange SIG, red 5 volts, and brown is ground. The output header is right here. There's a 5-volt connection, a ground connection labeled GD, outputs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they correspond to the logic on the LEDs here: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And those LEDs are activated, we'll show you in a few minutes, to the fingerprints ID slots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we'll program those in. The D pin is for the port expander kit, and so is the in pin. So we're not going to worry too much about those, because I've made a video about the port expander, and I will have that linked below. What I've done is mounted my fingerprint scanner to a PCB just so that it's easier to experiment with. Now we're going to power it up just for a second, and then we're going to disconnect power. And the reason for this is when we power it up, the servo motor glitches, and then software corrects it and brings it back to its original state. And this is important because we want to know where the 0 state is so that we can put on our servo motor attachment. So you'll listen for the servo motor when I plug it in. And the LCD is working, everything's good. The power LED is on the fingerprint scanner, and the servo motor has corrected itself. So I'm going to unplug, and now I'm going to connect one of my attachments. As you can see, I've placed on one of my attachments, there is a little mounting screw that I can screw in to fasten it into place, but I'm not going to do that. It's just it's just not necessary for this specific video. But now we have a reference. So if I plug it in again, watch the servo motor, it'll glitch and then it'll correct itself. There you go. Okay, so servo motor aside, we don't need to worry about that right now. You don't even need to have it connected, but that is how you ready your stepper motor, or sorry, your servo motor. So first of all, what you're going to want to do is program in some fingerprints. And for this, I'm going to program in ID slots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And on my left hand, I'm going to program in 6 and 7. Now, 6 controls the servo motor, 7 controls the onboard relay, and here is the output of the relay. Let's quickly talk about the relay before we program in some fingerprints. For those of you who aren't familiar with relays, they are isolated electromagnetic switches. So it's an on-off switch that's controlled digitally, but the outputs are isolated from the control circuitry. And the outputs are labeled NO for normally open, CO for common, and NC for normally closed. So when the relay is off, internally the common pin is connected to the normally closed pin. When the relay turns on, the common pin disconnects from the normally closed pin and connects to the normally open pin. So this is essentially just an on-off switch. If you have a circuit that you want to be powered when the relay is on, you connect power to the CO pin and the power line to your circuit on the NO pin. So when the relay is turned on, power goes through the CO pin and into the NO pin. So it's essentially just literally an on-off switch. Go into your room, turn on the light, turn it off. It's the same thing. And it can be used for AC or DC applications. So to test the fingerprint scanner, to just give it a quick test, all you have to do is press 9999. Now entering scanning mode. Communications are working properly with the fingerprint scanner because it just turned on. Now I'm going to power off, and we're going to enter into program mode. Now, in program mode, what we're going to need to do is just follow the instructions on the LCD. It's a little bit difficult for me to teach you how to program it, as the LCD is really telling you how to do each step, but we'll get there. In order to program in a new fingerprint or set of fingerprints, we have to make sure that these jumpers are set as they are. I'll talk about the jumpers a little bit more in a minute. We don't need to worry about it as long as you have them configured properly. In order to enter in my secret program code, what I need to do is press 7777. Now you'll notice that the green LED turns on for a short period of time. When it turns off, I can program in a new code. So I'm going to program in my secret code to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And from here, what I have to do is I have to disconnect, and I have to reconnect. So I'm going to enter in 1, 2, 3, 4, and now enter program mode. So now in programming mode, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to stop the video and get to the other side of my camera so that you can see this a little bit better. Okay, so in program mode, I'm going to use my pointer finger to select which ID slot we're going to be saving to. So I'm going to be saving my pointer to ID slot 1. I'm going to hold my finger down on the sensor and save to ID slot 1 of 20. I let go. Hold your finger to the scanner. Complete. Remove finger. Second scan. Complete. Remove finger. Final scan. Please hold your finger to the scanner and complete. Print data saved. So now I'm going to do the same thing, except for I'm going to be using my middle finger on my right hand to save to slot 2. So I'm going to hold down the sensor, save to slot 1, slot 2, I let go. Hold your finger to the scanner. Complete. Remove finger. Second scan. Complete. Remove finger. Final scan. Print data saved. Now I'm going to continue on. I'm going to save to slot 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And once we're done that, we'll go back and we'll test. Now, once you've programmed in your fingerprints and you want to lock it into software and make it more difficult for people to hack it, what you have to do is remove the middle jumper that's connecting the middle and left pins. Sorry. And connect to the rightmost jumper. Now what that's going to do is, even if we put in our secret access code, it's going to put us in scanning mode. So let me just actually give you a quick example. Sorry about the camera. I'll plug it in. Select mode of operation. Our secret code is 1, 2, 3, 4. And what that'll do is enter us into scanning mode as opposed to program mode, because that jumper is on the right as opposed to the left. So that is what I call the software program jumper. The bottom jumper is our momentary mode or latching mode selector. So basically, when we're in scanning mode, I can choose to have momentary outputs or latching outputs, and I'll show you exactly what that means. What I'm going to do is we're now in scanning mode. In order to get in scanning mode normally, I would just press 9999. In this case, with the jumper in lock position, 9999 or our secret code will enter us into scanning mode. In any case, so I'm going to place my pointer on the scanner, matching ID output set. That was slot 1, or LED 1. So the logic on the 1 output would also go high. My middle finger, output 2, my right finger, output 3, my pinky, and my thumb on my right hand. Now what happens, you can do this on the fly. It's not suggested you do this on the fly because you don't want to be touching your board, but what I can do is take the bottom jumper, remove it, and place it on the left, the middle, and left pin. So what if I take my pointer, which will activate output 1, and press it again? It latches, stays on, so it toggles states. So if I press my pointer again, output 1 will turn off. So that latching and momentary applies to the relay and output 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, not to the servo motor. So now let's test the servo motor. This is ID slot 6. Watch the servo. Press it again and it'll toggle states. Now, my middle finger on my left hand. Listen for the relay click. Right now we're in latching mode, so it'll latch on. Click on. So the relay has turned on. The common pin is now connected to the normally open pin. I'll press again, and it turns off. For the sake of being thorough, I've changed my jumper back to momentary mode. And I'm going to use my middle finger on my left hand again to activate the relay. You'll notice it only turns on for a short period of time. Click on, click off. So there you have it. That is that's the basics of everything. You can connect your port expander with these. There's another video linked below. Now if you don't want to use, I'm going to unplug right now. If you don't want to use a 9-volt 1-amp adapter, wall adapter, what you can use as an alternate is this terminal block right here. If you want to use wires to connect power to your version 1 board, there's a V plus terminal and a ground terminal. So V plus is where you'd place your 9 volts DC, and the GND pin would be where you connect your power supply ground. This is the version 2 board. It has one primary function, but again you can connect your port expander kit if you'd like to the output pins. The primary function is once you've saved some fingerprints to the left and right fingerprint scanners, you place it in scanning mode. If it recognizes 2 fingerprints at the exact same time, the relay turns on. It stays on until you press the cell button. Cell meaning select. Now again, the relay is a high-powered switch. You can use it to switch on a solenoid, an electromagnetic lock, a high-power DC or low-power AC device. So what we'll do before we plug it in is we'll talk about the board and the setup. Similar to the version 1 board, each fingerprint scanner has a 4-pin wire cable. we want to place your white wire in the W slot, your green wire in the G slot, your black wire in the B slot, B for black, and your red wire in the R slot for red. Same goes for the other sensor. White to W, green to G, black to B, red to R. Now if you mix up those connections, they're not going to work properly and you can severely damage your fingerprint scanner. So make sure that they've been connected properly. These are your output pins. You don't use most of them for function. You use 12, 13, G and D, and 5 volts for the port expander kit. This terminal block is your relay output. I hate to repeat myself, but just in case, just for the sake of repeating myself, I will. The relay is an electromagnetic switch, digitally controlled but isolated from the rest of the circuitry. It's essentially an on-off switch. When the relay is off, the common pin, CO, is connected to the normally closed pin. When the relay is turned on, the common pin disconnects from the normally closed pin and connects to the normally open pin, NO. And when you turn it off, again, it disconnects from the NO pin, the common pin reconnects to the NC pin. You have 2 power options, and you can actually, this has a battery backup circuit. You can use both if you want to have a battery backup. It requires 9 volts at 1 amp. Don't use more than 9 volts. So you'd connect your power here, and or you can actually have a battery backup or use a wire supply instead of the primary supply. They're protected via diodes. If you want to use a battery backup, you place it here, your positive 9 volts here, your supply ground here. Alternately, you can use both. You plug it in and you have a battery backup here. You wouldn't want to use a 9 volt battery. You'd want to use a few in parallel if you were placing a battery backup here. But again, if you don't want to use a 5mm jack, just place your primary power on this terminal block. Right here is your cell button. This is just circuitry. You've got 3 LEDs. Now those are going to be used for different reasons as we go along. So first of all, after we've made our fingerprint scanner connections, we're ready to power it up. So let's give it a test. Now let's test functionality. Plug it in. Both green power LEDs on the fingerprint scanners are on. Let's press the cell button. Great. Okay, so communications to the fingerprint scanners are A-OK. Now if I wait and I don't put 2 fingerprints on, or 2 fingers on the scanners, there will be a timeout and all 3 green or red LEDs will turn on. There you go. So there's a timeout. So all of the red LEDs are functional. That's great. So if I press a button again and I only put 1 fingerprint on, it turns off, or the other. And if I place 2 fingerprints that are not both recognized, you'll get the same result. Now, if I take 2 fingers that are programmed, listen for the relay. Relay clicks on. So that means that we're successful. I've programmed in each of these fingers, this finger into the left, this finger into the right, and you can program in up to 10 for each. And so the relay is on. The switch is on. Whatever your relay is controlling has been turned on. So I press the cell button to turn it off. Listen for the relay click off. Relay clicks off. So now we're back waiting for another scanning mode. So everything seems to be working on a functional side of things. The relay works. Now I'm going to show you how to program it. During power up, what I need to do to program in fingerprints to each of the fingerprint scanners is, and pay close attention, you might want to watch this segment a couple times, you want to hold down the cell button during power up. Now when I do that, the middle and left LEDs will light up. If I let go immediately, then I will be programming in a fingerprint for this scanner. If I continue to hold that button down, the middle and right LEDs will light up and the left LED will turn off, at which point I let go and I'll be programming in for the right fingerprint scanner. So I'm going to program in a fingerprint for the right fingerprint scanner. Now, once I let go of that button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to program in for one for the right fingerprint scanner, and only the right fingerprint scanner LED will turn on. From there, what I need to do is I need to select which ID slot I'm going to use. And the LED on the left tells me which slot by blinking. So if it blinks once and I let go, I'm saving to slot 1. If it blinks twice and I let go, it's saving to slot 2. If it blinks 3 times, and I let go. I'm saving to slot 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save my middle finger on my right hand to the right fingerprint scanner in ID slot 3. So I'm going to stop the tape and we'll go through a couple examples of that. Plugging it in, holding down the cell button. Now watch the LEDs on the board. Left, right. So now I'm saving to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to determine which slot to save it to. I'm going to save it to slot 3. So I'm holding down the button. 1, 2, 3. So now it's ready for me. And the LED turns back on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my finger on it and the LED goes out. I let go, LED turns on again. Second scan. LED turns off, turns on again. Second scan. LED turns off, third scan, and wait for it. Okay, so now my middle finger has been saved to ID slot 3 for the rightmost sensor. So, what if I want to save my thumb, or let's say I want to save my middle finger on my left hand into slot 4 on the left. I'll unplug. Middle finger, slot 4 on the left fingerprint scanner. So I'm going to hold the cell button down. I'm going to let go. Left lights up, and so I might have to get in the way here. I apologize for that, but I'm going to save to slot 4. You can use any finger to choose which ID slot. I'm just going to use my pointer finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now the LED turns on again, and I use my middle finger. Good. Good. And lastly, good. Saved. So now I'm going to test. I'm going to use my middle finger that we just programmed in on the left sensor. I'm going to use my pointer on the right because that's an ID slot 1 right now. Now if you don't put the fingers on exactly at the same time and exactly at the same time and you don't have them properly placed, you'll get a failure, an error. So plug it in, cell, listen for the relay. It works. So since I'm not using the relay for anything right now, I'm going to turn it off. So that's it. They're fairly easy to use. They're fun to use. You'll have to find your own mounts for your fingerprint scanners. Be careful when you mount them. They are very small boards and they are very expensive to replace. So thanks for watching. Check us out at engineeringshot.com, paintballprops.com, and electroniclessons.com. Take care, everyone.